Mr. Nguyen.
Hey guys, in this clip I'd like to go over module number 3, just focusing on the VLOOKUP function, which just might be the most popular Excel function used in the workforce. And I see students had the most difficulty on the project. VLOOKUP is used to retrieve values from a table of data, and this is what a table of data looks like. VLOOKUP gives you the value you want to retrieve, in this case, the cost, based on what you have specified in the formula argument to look up channel.
Let's go to the example. This is similar to what I did when I worked at Louis Vuitton in New York City. On the left hand side is the list of TV channels seen in column B, channel NBC, ESPN, and USA Network. We want to obtain the cost of advertising associated with each of those TV channels and populate column C. Where can we get that information? From the big data table to the right with data located in the range E5, I19. Column E contains a list of TV channels that we need to look up so that we could retrieve the related advertising costs in the same row in column I, net cost. Note that this net cost column is in the 5th position to the right from column E, the column that we need to look up. So keep in mind this number 5 as we will use later on. Now, let's get to writing the VLOOKUP formula. In cell C5, write out the VLOOKUP function, starting with keying in the equal sign, then type VLOOKUP. Press the Tab key. You will then see that Excel display a reference for us, the syntax needed for writing the formula. There are 4 arguments that we need to fulfill. First argument is the lookup value. We need to specify our criteria in the formula, the value that we are looking up. In this case, the value we want to look up is NBC. So input cell B5 as the first argument of the formula, followed by a comma to separate it from the next argument. Argument 2, called table array. This is the table of data that we are looking up, and that is in range E5, I19. Note that in this range, the lookup column must be on the left-hand side and must also be the first column in the lookup table array range. What we also want to do here is use absolute reference, which is used for a cell reference that remains fixed, so that later we could copy the formula down to a new cell. To do this, place a cursor inside the formula where E5, I19 is located. Press the F4 key to input the $sign. The third argument is the column index number. We said before that it is 5 because the net cost column, which is the column where we are retrieving data, is in the 5th position to the right from column E, the column that we need to look up the TV channel. Let's do a count to verify. The first column, column E, is a 1. Next, column F is a 2, followed by 3, 4, and then 5. The net cost, column I, is the 5th column. Now, the fourth and last argument, we need to specify whether we want to look up the value, the respective TV channel, as an exact match or as an approximate match. Most of the time, we would want an exact match, and to do that, we write false as the 4th argument, and then press the Enter key. It retrieves the cost of advertising for the TV channel NBC, $50,635. We now check the big data table if that is the correct cost to make sure that we wrote our formula correctly. Cell E10 shows the channel NBC, and on the same row, cell I10, we see the cost is indeed $50,635. So our formula is perfect. Now we could copy this formula down to cell C6 to get the cost of advertising with ESPN channel. For the USA channel, I like to show you a second method of doing the VLOOKUP function. First, click on the insert function icon symbol right here. A dialog box appears. We select the VLOOKUP function from a list, scroll to the bottom, and find selected. Click OK button and the function argument box appears. We populate each argument. First is the lookup value argument, which is cell B7 USA. Second argument is table array, range E5, I19. It's the same range, same table before that we have been using. Also same is column index number 5. Range lookup is false. We want to find the exact match. And the cost retrieve here is $3,324 advertising on the USA network. Now let's jump right into Module 3 project assignment, focusing only on the VLOOKUP part, where students had some difficulties. In this assignment, we need to use the VLOOKUP formula for cell I7 and I8. I7 is the number of components that we need to retrieve for the box set product called sweet stuff. I8 is the net weight that we need to obtain for this same product. Where do we look up this information from? The data is in the range A14 to D17. The box set sweet stuff is in column A, cell A17. The number of components information that we want to retrieve is in column C and is the third position of the data range. So we will use the number 3 as the index column number argument. Net weight information is in column D. It is the fourth position of the data range that we want to look up. Now, let's go to cell I7 to write the VLOOKUP formula. Key in the equal sign, type VLOOKUP, press tab, and input the first column, first argument. I5. Input absolute reference because we want to copy this formula down later and we want the cell reference to remain fixed. Next, where are we going to look up the value? Data table range A14, D17. Again, input absolute reference. Third argument is the index column number, which we said is 3. The number of components column is in the third column of the data table range A14, D17. Last argument, input false, because we want exact match as opposed to approximate match. Press enter. The VLOOKUP formula returns a value of 5. This means sweet stuff has 5 components. Next, we copy this formula down to cell I8 and it returns a value of 5. But that does not look right since it returns the same value as the cell above. Let's examine the formula to see what is wrong. As you can see in the formula, in the third argument, we have the number 3. It should be a 4. The net weight column is in the fourth position of the lookup data range A14, D17. After changing, the formula is perfect now. I hope this helped you guys better understand the VLOOKUP function. See you next time.